Recording. Hello everybody and welcome to another lockdown orienteering interview, this time with a British legend. It's Carol McNeill. We're speaking here together ahead of the British Open weekend. Carol, of course, winning many British championships, more than anyone can ever count, I believe. So the total number is unknown, but she's also, of course, competed in many world championships between the years of 68 and 81, with her best result being 7th in 1979 in Tampere in Finland. That result, of course, putting her only just over a minute away from the medals that year. An incredible performance for a British athlete at the time. Carol, you've devoted your life to orienteering, and can't thank you enough for being on the show today.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Carol. Well, first question really is, you know, you've given so much to the sport. You've written a number of books, 15 or so in total. Many of them, of course, available online. I saw one of them, you know, a number of them on Amazon, for instance, still that you can buy, selling at a fairly good price still. So, you know, the quality is incredible. And you've been teaching in a kind of pedagogical way, kids how to orienteer and others as well, you know, building sandcastles and interpreting contours in really simple to understand ways. I've heard great things from many people who have a lot of stories about you, of course, and you're such an integral part of the British orienteering community. So could you just give us a little bit in the beginning and tell us how you have, you know, started orienteering, how you came to orienteering, and why it's been such a big part of your life all these years?
Right. Well, I was teaching PE in Wiltshire and Devizes, and went on a CCPR course in Devon run by Eric Peckett. And it was orienteering. I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. You know, I was taking girls into the Brecon Beacons and thinking it would be a good way to teach them how to read a map. And I went and I was hooked. I touched my competitive nature, outdoors, maps, in the woods. It was just tremendous. I thought, this is really good. And what just the thing about the sandcastles, I remember teaching Kat Taylor in a sandpit.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a good little bit of information. We love stuff like that here. So I'm sure Kat remembers that as well, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, give us an insight a little bit then into how orienteering has changed over the years. I mean, from when you started to how it is now, it's very different. And do you enjoy the sport more now, or do you still have the fond memories of how it was in the beginning, or for you it doesn't matter that the sport has changed for what it is now?
Well, I think, you know, when you start something, you've just got what you have. It was black and white, one OS, 1 to 25,000 maps.
Yeah, exactly.
Master maps, self-inking punches.
Yeah.
And you just did it. But now, you know, as soon as it's gone digital, are much better, and particularly the change of maps. When they started making maps, that was really good, and coloured maps, and now it is a much better sport.
No, I mean, I remember the master maps as well in the beginning of when I started orienteering, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s. But really, you know, it's all I've ever known is how we have modern orienteering nowadays. So yeah, it's incredible to hear, you know, about finograph pencils and all the rest of it. All this technology that is more or less lost nowadays, but still very cool. You were a teacher and you're in outdoor education for a lot of your life. Like, did that help you in terms of being able to understand the sport and develop your own skills to, you know, be able to become this elite level athlete for so many years?
I think as a PE teacher, you sort of pick up how to improve in any sport, you know, or progressive. And I suppose I would have picked up something like that. But at the time, I was sort of moving beyond to normal fitness and trying to get fitter all the time. I remember having a training weekend drawing foot and mouth in the...
Oh, yeah, 2001.
Not 2001, I think it was the one before that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, okay.
And
so.
with, I remember the lads, and they went off for a 9-mile run. I couldn't believe they were going to run so far. 2 miles was as far as I could manage at that stage. And, it was great to sort of move on from my 2 miles to a lot more.
Yeah, well, we'll sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, fitness is so imperative, as you know, to being successful in orienteering. You can't have a good result without being superbly fit. No,
and we'll get on to that. We're going to talk a little bit, as you know, through your 79 preparations and performance into that championship. I think it's something that will really interest a lot of people as we take a little bit of a deep dive back into that period. So, yeah, we'll get on to that. Just before we do, is there anything else you want to say about, starting orienteering? What sort of tips would you give to, or what tips do you give nowadays to orienteers that are starting up into the sport? Obviously things have changed as we discussed from when you started, but what are your best tips at the moment?
Good question. Want to do it, concentrate all the time. Concentration is huge. Just concentrating on, the next control is your urgent destination, is one of my pet phrases.
I like that.
Sort of sums it all up, doesn't it?
Your urgent destination, yeah. I'm sure that translates brilliantly into many languages as well. So I'd love to see that, how that looks in Finnish. You have to translate it and then translate it back. I'm sure it'd be great. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go through a little presentation. We're going to start with some photos. You can talk through those. Then with your training plan and this sort of thing. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, sharing this PowerPoint. All right. You can see this okay, I hope?
Yes, I can.
Good. Let's begin then. All right, just move this up here, around somewhere. So Carol, tell us the year, tell us what you're doing in this photo.
I hope you wouldn't ask me what years. Look at the top. Is that Switzerland, 81?
81 indeed, yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. Looking fast in this. This was your final year, of course, as a senior athlete in a World Championships. So tell us a little bit about this final sort of year that you decided to continue.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Hector, because having come in 79 in Finland, and that was from Norway the year before, what could you aim for when you're 7?
Exactly.
You've got to try and win. And, I was into my 30s, I think. And to convince myself that I could win was sort of really difficult because, I'm not that an American Quickstad or, Richie Borgenstrom, a sort of athlete. But if you want to be in the top 10, you've got to think about winning. So
Absolutely.
That was quite interesting when it came to training and trying to improve on what I'd done for Finland. So it was harder. And I think, I did my best. I remember just missing the first control, which was a bit of but I was 18, which actually was okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, the top 20 is a top 20, and I totally understand and can relate, and I'm sure many other people can relate to that mental anxiety that you put on yourself in terms of the expectation. Not just the expectation that you have, but you somehow you feel expectation from others, and you all let it. It's something that you have to deal with suddenly, and it's a bit new. And that whole mental side of the sport is, well, I think it's understood in many ways, but for a lot of athletes, it's still a struggle. And yeah, I mean, it's not a new thing, and it's not something that's been completely solved. Of course, the best athletes can deal with it. Was there anything any tips or tricks that you found, like, okay, mentally, you developed routines over your career that helped you with this? I mean, obviously you talked about you missed the first control here, but how did you come back after that to get the 18th position in the end here? Because you must have used some sort of like self-talk or something after you missed the first control to be able to get back into the racing state of mind to get back into that.
Yeah, well, I know everybody can make a mistake. I did a lot of self-talk, visualization in preparation, and as soon as you make a mistake of any sort, you just got to put it behind you and move on. I spent a lot of time thinking through scenarios, visualizing myself in Switzerland, and I've been doing that since sort of 76 after Scotland.
Yeah.
And spending quite a bit of time in Sweden, talking to people about how you scan these orienteer.
Yeah. Very good. All right, well, let's move on then. Let's move on from here, and we'll go backwards in time a little bit. We're going to start talking about your training plan here that you had in the run-up to 79. 79, of course, as we already discussed, that was when you came 7th in Tampere in Finland. We have the map that's coming up later, so we can talk a little bit about that. But here, I mean, I'm just incredibly surprised by the simplicity of it. And of course, for me at least, when I look at it, I can see a number of similarities, even identical sections to what I would also do and what has been kind of taught to us. So yeah, talk us through a little bit about how you came up with this and where the thinking for all these periods, training periods, came from.
Yeah, well, I got hold of a Swedish-Finnish book on training for orienteering. I've still got it. It was really good. And, I picked up all this periodization and training. There's a little bit of this in Britain, but not so much in the early days. But I just, after Scotland, thought, I'm going to do this properly, train as well as I could. So this all came from this Swedish-Finnish book I had. And what it did for me was, it was a really good focus. So, you're not just training for an event 2 years away, but every day has an input into that race day. So you get through each section. I think it's a great way to train and be motivated to train hard, because, you're coming to the end of a hard period. And you're just trying to do your best, but then you're going to have a rest.
Yeah. No, it's really fun to read. Definitely. I mean, I'm just going to pick out a couple of things here, but your preparation, you have your basic training period 1, basic training period 2, specialized training period, your competition 1 period, then another specialized training period, then an 8-week kind of prep for the world champs, and then you have the competition. I mean, that looks very good to me. I mean, that's the sort of thing I plan for myself as well. And then, of course, you have here a little bit of detail on what Finland is actually going to be like. I don't know if you'd already been to Finland before or been to like Tampere region before you wrote this, or was this based on like something you'd heard? Like, I mean, how much training how much knowledge did you actually have of the World Champs before you wrote this plan?
I think we must have had some training camp in Finland. I've been over there, and certainly before, I had 10 weeks in Finland before the World Champs. So I had an idea, and it was the main thing that it was tough. I've been to some races, and you really have to be aggressive in the terrain and sort of fight it.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's right. I can read here for everyone who maybe can't quite see, but it says Finland 1 to 20,000, lower visibility, accurate compass and pacing, mainly straight. Rough terrain, confidence. 2 days a week in rough ground. Training will help to make orienteering fluent. Bad undergrowth and stony ground. One has to decide to run properly, otherwise you get stuck in the undergrowth. Judging distance by looking at the terrain. What do you make of that?
Oh, it wasn't bad, was it? I was just about what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And that also helped me to focus on the sort of mental side of it all. But, you know, it was going to be tough for me and for everybody else. You know, just the Brits, even the Finns.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, fantastic. I mean, yeah, and then we can see here on the other pages, this is how your training plan worked out. You have some picks here against the weeks and against the training sessions and the training sessions you're doing. You know, you got everything in there. We won't bother to go through it in too much detail here, but you know, you've got your fartlek, you've got your different types of intervals and long runs, orienting technique work, etc. Skiing, I can see here as well. So, yeah, great. All right, let's move through into this page then. Can you talk us through a little bit about what was going on then here? If I just move this up here.
All in. We weren't digital. Well, I wasn't digital then, so.
No, sure. So here in this one, we've got dates along the here, but these are going from the races backwards in time. So I guess you were planning. You were planning backwards from the race and to the, you know, those 8 weeks or whatever it was beforehand.
Yeah, so it was sort of working up to the top.
Exactly.
One thing at the bottom where it says bounding starts, I thought that was a brilliant form of training. It was Lydia's bounding session. I was doing them in Holyrood Park in Edinburgh. I had a really good session there, and you know, just gives you a whole lot of strength. So it's, you know, starting at the bottom, you know, just building in the periods that we saw before, and I've just crammed things in there, haven't I? Trying to get a bit of a profile of what was happening, hard, easy weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what are the lines here in the middle that we can see? Like, there's a dotted black line, there's a green line. It seems like you're graphing out some numbers here, but just a little bit of insight, like some kind of final periodization to get you in there.
I know that there's a sort of classic 12 to 15 week countdown to a big race and a sort of mini periodized period. And so, you know, and I normally did miles rather than hours.
Sure.
So it was clocking in a bit like you see on the right on the vertical graphs, making sure that I had, you know, easy weeks plotted in, and the graph, it looks like a bit of an average. A long time ago, Hector.
No, I mean, it's all something that I'm sure a lot of people watching will be pausing right now, the discussion that we're having, and they'll be going in and looking in great detail about what all these numbers really meant, and the significance of them, because I mean, it's an incredible amount of detail here, obviously, and really, really fun to be able to see, exactly what you were doing. So great stuff. I mean, here we can just see on the right. Sorry.
Just before we go on, I have to say I was really proud of the training I was doing. I was up in the Cairngorms quite a lot, working in this outdoor education. So I had tremendous terrain to run in, and that's sort of near the bottom where it was 52, 56, 78, 34 miles in the week. that 78 miles, I was so pleased with it because I'd sort of done some training. I thought, I might even get up to 80, and I ran up Cairngorm and back.
Nice.
Those sort of days, and it was okay. I wasn't sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're tired when you do that amount of mileage, but it really gave me confidence that I was fit enough to move on.
Yeah, I mean, 80 miles, that's this one here in June?
Oh, that'd be it, yeah.
Week 11, yeah, nice. All right, well, that's pretty cracking, that. Yeah, exactly. And then you've got here, it's like Finland, Sweden, Norway, Finland. Okay, so at that point, that was your last big week of training before you came out to Scandinavia for the summer to race. So yeah, I mean, great to hear about the Cairngorm being the sort of the stepping stone and the launching pad into Scandinavia.
And having raced in Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and beaten some of those Scandinavians on their home terrain in their local events, that's tremendous for confidence.
Yeah.
And that all made a big difference too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Here's the map, the famous day, 7th in the end, as we previously discussed. Only a minute and 10 seconds or something like that away from the bronze medal position, and not that far away from the gold medal, of course, ahead of that. So tell us a little bit about how you expected the course to be, how the course ended up being, and how you dealt with the certain aspects of the course.
Well, I knew I had to be really careful to warn, what we all do, isn't it? You've got to get the first control. And actually, the whole course wasn't as difficult as I was expecting. There was a German controller, apparently, and he didn't want to make it any harder. So a leg like 2 to 3, you could go straight, but there's that big forest road in the way, and I just went down the road and attacked it from the field, and think, oh well, this is okay. You could pick up some pace, and you're going straight. I mean, I was reminded it was a 1 to 20,000, which I thought, oh my God, that's amazing that we ran on that. And I was 3 minutes. I was drawn next to Sue Parkin. Oh, yeah. So two Brits are the same, and they put in a Hungarian girl in between us to split us. And then Uchi Borgestrom, who won, was 12 minutes behind me. So there's all that sort of, when I see her, but I just sort of forgot about all that. And I saw Sue round about 4 or 5 with the Hungarian girl.
Gotcha.
So there's 3 of us like pushing each other.
Nice.
And obviously you have to concentrate really hard, not just get distracted. So, we pushed on the second half, which was good. And when we got to 8, I was 4th at number 8, and the girl who was 4th was only like a second off bronze medal. So, I'm just missed 9 by probably 30 seconds or something. But, we were running straight, and you can see all the paths and things. So, in today's orienteering, you think, well, that wasn't that hard, was it?
Yeah, sure.
But on the day, you're just trying to do it as fast as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And seconds count, as you said there, like 30 seconds. That just puts you outside of the touching distance. And I mean, incredible performance nonetheless. So great. Let's continue on. That was really interesting to hear about the race there, and I'm sure many people watching will be able to look a little more detail on this map and really get the flavor of how it was. All right, here we have the team from that year, I believe. Am I wrong?
Yeah. We've all grown a bit, haven't we? Jeff,
Yeah, Jeff in the background.
Jenny Pearson, Sue.
I have one question for you. Why are you wearing such big gloves?
Oh, good question.
Was it really that cold?
It looks as if I've been on a bike, doesn't it?
All the
cold.
Yeah. Incredible.
Do you know any of them?
Yeah, I know Ian on the right.
Oh, Ian Rochford, yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, of course, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, no, I love the kit as well. I mean, the kit looks great. I wish I could have some of that kit.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to throw them away, Hector.
No, don't throw them away.
They're still hanging up.
Oh, it's vintage stuff. You need to keep that for, yeah.
My house is vintage.
All right, great. So here, let's talk a little bit about then other stuff that you've been doing, not just World Championships, but of course you've been we'll get on to the British Championships and what you've been doing in Britain, but here we see you at the Oringen and the Swedish 5 days, of course. You've done that many years. I guess it's one of your favorite summer activities. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in this photo and subsequent O-Ringens as well.
Yeah, well, I have to say the 5 days is one of my favourite races. I went there in '69 and kept going back because, you were up against the best Scandinavians all the time, not just all from another country, but, to beat them, I felt really good. And I did there's a few women that we raced against each other, and I did win, the 5 days on a few different occasions, including last year, which I was dead chuffed with. Went back and I wore my first T-shirt that I got.
Yeah, no, incredible. I mean, here it is that day where you are winning the O-Ringen last year. Obviously, standing on the podium here with an incredible array of athletes from many different clubs, but mainly Scandinavians, of course. So pretty special that you're able to get in amongst them still at your age. Do you think you have improved relatively over the years now in terms of your age group, or do you think your peak as an orienteer came at a different time?
Yeah, I think my peak was when I was running in the World Champs, and then after Switzerland there was some World Veteran Cup races. So up to about 2000, I was still training quite hard, and then things started to tail off a bit.
Sure.
I had a hip operation in 2008, so that stopped me training, and various other things got in the way. So
Oh, well. But I mean, still holding an incredible level for your age. So we can continue. Here we are. It's you on a mountain, or on a hill at least, in the lakes, I guess, with all your British Championship medals. I'm sure someone watching might be able to count them all, and I see some JK medals in there as well. But you've won the British Championships now, so many times that I couldn't even count them all. Tell us a little bit about the British Championships, what it means for you, and why you think that you have been able to be so dominant within the UK for your age over
I think
basically the whole of orienteering's existence in the UK.
The British and the JK have always been quite special when being competitive, and especially when it's been in the lakes, because in the last 10 years, I've really gone for the best terrain, only orienteer in nice areas. But I think it's a huge experience sport. And obviously I've been doing it for so long that I don't really have to think too much about what to do. I still make mistakes and
Sure.
some pretty have disasters, but I sort of know what I should be doing. And if I'm really wanting to do well, then I just know how to focus in and do it. And it's like the people like Yvette, and Yvette and a few others used to say, you just do it, don't you? Why do people make all these mistakes?
Yeah, sorry to be laughing at that point, but it really is, and it resonates with me in particular. It's something my mum always used to tell me as well. My mother, she always used to say, "Oh, just get on and do it. What's the problem?" So yeah, I can definitely echo those sentiments. So yeah, if you have that kind of will and that strength of mind, and you have, of course, the experience to back you up, and the technique, and the that just and as well combined with the kind of sort of bloody mindedness, you do exactly. You just get on and do it, don't you? So great to hear. Okay.
I just say that I don't normally go around with medals around my neck. It was
no.
the LOC anniversary photograph. They wanted some things for their albums, so that was a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So this came as part of that.
And that hat, 1968, was signed by people like Chris Brasher and Gordon Fury and John Disley. They were all there, and we were, out there together, sort of thing.
That's a museum piece that you've got on your head there, then.
Anyone want to buy it?
Yeah, put it on eBay. All right. Here you are with, what can I be described? There's a couple of legends as well, like 3 legends all on one road. What's going on here?
This is the end of the Joss Naylor Challenge, 2014. Jenny, who's my walking, mainly, and running friend, and with some LOC people, we trained and did it in our 24 hours. And Joss, as he often is, was there to meet us at the end. That was a really good day out. Yeah.
For many orienters in the UK, at least, they will understand Joss Naylor and the Joss Naylor Challenge and fell running and such. Give a little bit of insight into, you were obviously an orienteer, but what fell running gave to you as well, and how that complemented what you were trying to do in orienteering.
Well, I moved to the Lake District in 1982. So I was still training, but fell racing, coming to the lakes, it was so good. It had also ticked so many of my boxes. Competitive, being in the hills, which is, my favourite activity, I would say, with orienteering. And having some great, all sorts of races. And it's great for fitness. And I did some in Edinburgh too, the Carnetti Hill Race.
Carnetti 5, yeah.
And Ben Nevis and all those.
Of course.
So all those, and some cross-country running. It was all done for fitness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a running athlete, I would say. If we did some trials, then people like Jenny Pearson would always beat me on a track. But the difference between our speeds was much closer when we're in terrain or rough ground.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can again echo those sentiments. I think a lot of orienteers find that they are really good when it comes to running up hills, and particularly fell running tends to be a bit more rough underfoot, not so many trails or such. So yeah, orienteers can really excel at that, and I think there is that excitement of being in the mountains. Particularly myself, I feel it as well. So yeah, really cool to hear about the fell running being a big part of your life. And yeah, doing stuff like the Joss Naylor Challenge, I mean, that's just, well,
Yeah.
for those who know what it is, you'll know the hardcore nature of it. And for those who don't, I encourage you to look it up. And then you get an idea of the type of person that Carol was, at least on this day, and still is, of course. All right. Finally, we'll just go on to talk a little bit about this one then, and some of the things you're doing right now.
Right. So I built a cinema. Outside my house, I bought an old barn which is attached to my sort of workshop garage, and I now help to run the Oxon Park Cinema Club. It's a purpose-built community cinema. You can seat up to 40 people in armchairs, and we've got a couple of rows of cinema seats, and we show films twice a month from September to April, and it's really popular.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't know this about you before you sent this, but yeah, like amazing. And I don't know, Carol, you know, you look a bit different from the usual hipster that you might expect that would do this sort of thing, you know. You need a little bit of a longer beard, but no, yeah. incredible thing to do, and to be part of the community like that.
Don't ask me about films and directors. You know, I know what I like, but
sure.
I like the sort of community thing.
Yeah, no.
You know, if I get something in my head and want to do it, you know, I'm driven by it's like a mission.
Yeah.
All through my life, I think, you know, with the orienteering and this and
no, exactly. I think incredible. And like just touching on that community thing that you discussed there, I mean, there's a real incredible community within orienteering, and obviously here with lockdown orienteering, we're trying to like keep that and develop that throughout these difficult times, or more difficult times for many people. What do you think it is about orienteering that sort of fosters that, or somehow, you know, the people within orienteering are willing to give a lot of their time to the community for the sport? And have you felt that yourself, I guess, throughout your career in orienteering, or throughout your involvement in orienteering?
Yeah, I think it's very competitive, but you're out there on your own, and so you're not, you know, face to face, not very often anyway, with somebody that you're trying to beat, like in tennis or a team sport. So when you finish, you know, you're all on a level playing field, and you know, you're interested in how other people have perhaps done your course, and so you're talking to people who you're competing against in a very sort of social way, and I think that makes a big difference.
No, absolutely, yeah. Well, Carol, thank you very much for coming on. Before we end the interview, of course, I want to talk about how have you been dealing a little bit with the lockdown that we've had in the UK. Obviously, things opening up a little bit now. What have you been up to? How have you been keeping yourself busy during this time?
Well, I have to say, I've really enjoyed it, and I need at least another month to finish all the things I've started. Like, I'm chucking things out. I'm going through all my orienteering maps. You know, 70% have gone in the bin already.
Oh, no.
And
perhaps the next project should be, you know, after the cinema, now you need to build a museum to house all these antiquities that you have lying around.
I've still got my A-level notes.
Wow.
My A-levels, which, you know, are quite sentimental, really, because I worked hard. Anyway, some of that's gone now.
Oh, no, gosh. Well,
the garden, you know,
the garden
really suited me. And being on the edge of Bethica Moor, you know, I've run out there every day.
And what's in the future then? What are, you know, assuming plans can go to plan, so to speak, what have you got planned in the coming years, and how do you see that?
Good question. I sort of not planning too far ahead. I'm still, you know, involved locally orienteering and trying to get more coaches and help people, you know, get the families out. and sort of lockdown, map reading, that sort of thing. I've just got another puppy, so I've now got 3 border collies. And I do dog agility with them, so that's something I'll probably do with the puppy.
Nice.
And then orienteer when it's in lovely terrain, like the South Lakes.
Yeah.
Don't have to travel too far.
No, exactly. Well, that all sounds excellent to me. Something that I am, of course, jealous of is the Southern Lakes orienteering. So yeah, hopefully many people will be able to see you at an event soon in person. Until that time, hopefully everyone has been enjoying the interview that we've just had together. Carol, thank you very, very much for coming on and sharing a little bit of detail about your career and, of course, talking about that 1979 performance. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add just before we wrap this up?
No, that's really good. No, it's been lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, absolutely. Well, good luck to everybody who has entered the British Open weekend. That will be going on. Best of luck to you all. Keep following Lockdown Orienteering along on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find all the updates there, and our next events that are coming up, they will be online soon, I'm sure. Yes, thank you very much, Carol, again, for being here. And we'll see you next time. See you around. Thank you, Carol.
Good.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.